Ready, Brock? 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to Skate IQ's How to Kickflip live stream. If you are from YouTube and Twitch watching live, I'm excited to be answering your questions and walking you through every step of the way how to get your kickflips down. If you're late and you couldn't make it and you're here watching on the YouTube VOD, we love you. We appreciate you. If you're on mobile, make sure you open the comments, swipe to the right so you can see the live chat during the whole broadcast. I think you'll still get a lot out of it. We are here at this beautiful skate park. It's not, the car said it's 100 degrees, but I honestly don't buy it. It more feels like 88 degrees. It's not too bad. What's up, Dirty Wizard, Christian Jarvis? How you guys doing? Good afternoon. We're hyped to have you here. These live streams have been so much fun this week. I think this is number 5. And it's been like a really big learning curve for us as a team over here. Lives are no joke when it comes to back-end gear, setting up the streams and different formats and just how to make it the most entertaining, how to get the most out of it. You're working on kickflips right now. That's killer. Mark, Doc, this is not a rerun. We're getting right into it. This is my favorite channel too, Sean. What a surprise. I can't believe we both like this channel. So it's so great to meet you. This skate park is at a top secret location. We can't share it with you guys at this moment. I'm here alone and I get to use and abuse every single transition and obstacle and rail if we so please. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know if we've ever hit it. Oh, I have hit that rail. We're gonna be solving problems today. Problems like landing one foot on the board. Can't figure out how to fix that. We're going to solve some common issues that you might run into on your setup, either from inexperience or maybe just not realizing what you're doing might be hurting your kickflips. We're also going to cover a few more niche things, maybe how to float a little more or how to make it feel or look a little more comfortable. Things like that aren't so cut and dry, just put your foot here and then kick it really hard. There are some things that most people don't understand when it comes to kickflips. We're going to cover some of my favorites when it comes to how much you really need to pop, or are there ways to practice kickflips without doing kickflips? Like if you can't do them already, what's a good way to practice them? Is it best to learn the basics and then go on to Tre Flip or Kickflip? That sounds insane. There is a lot of stuff between the basics and kickflips, and there's a lot of stuff between kickflips and Tre Flips. So we were talking about that last night a little bit. Just the overall vibe on street progression, I think, is a little misconstrued. Landing the board with the grip tape down is a big issue for me. All right. So it looks like we're all on the same page. Bahar, you are not too late at 20 years old. With that kind of mindset, you won't do, you're not gonna do anything new anymore? And it's a little offensive. I'm 28. I feel like a spring chicken, all right? I wake up in the morning excited. I wanna do new things. I wanna do things I've never done before. And then I get comments on my YouTube videos that's like, I'm 24. Am I washed? I'm like, bro, you better not be, because that's not good for me. So let's get started. We're gonna spend the next couple of minutes going straight tutorial mode. Then we'll touch chat after and do a really solid Q&A, make sure I'm answering your guys' questions. But let's get our foundation of the kickflip right, and we'll get everyone on the same page moving forward. Skateboarding is done in the setup. Your setup isn't just foot position, okay? Your setup involves your whole body. It also involves your speed. It also involves maybe the ground that you're skating on. I feel like people think, okay, I set up for kickflip, my front foot is almost off the board, they do one of these, and that's it, all right? It can go much deeper than that. I want you to use your setup to make your life as easy as possible. You're not just moving your feet around to put them in the right place. So let's do some things to test our setup. The most important thing for me on my kickflips, I want my front foot to be able to turn me towards my heel side, and I want my back foot to be able to turn me towards my toe side. So if I push on my back foot, I can turn this way. If I push on my front foot, I can turn this way. This is an important piece for me personally because I like to skate transitions. So I have to be able to skate in a straight line. And oftentimes, I'm actually going backside into my kickflips. So I have to have a lot of pressure back here on my back foot. That's been really useful for me. I've also heard from very, very good street skaters that they do the same thing. It's not absolutely required. I've seen a lot of great kickflips come from the heel side of the board. It's just always been a more inconsistent flick for me if I have both feet on the heel side. That is because I visualize my nose coming up into my front foot by pushing my back foot into the board and letting that rail come up into my foot so I can get a stronger flick. If I pop off of the heel side rail, the kickflip rail tends to start flipping a little prematurely, and then I start flipping air, or I just have a little bit more inconsistent flick. So the actual pop is not about flicking really hard. The actual pop is about getting this nose to come into my front foot with the most pressure that I can, which lets me flick a lot lighter. So within this balance point, there are a lot of different foot positions. Okay, if you're more centered, which I tend to like to be a little bit more centered, I can have my back foot barely towards the toe side and my front foot barely off the heel side, and that's just fine. So find your range, your foot positions that you like, and then we can work off of that. For the little guys out there, if you guys are the younger little tykes, the little ankle biters, your front foot can sit really low. That'll help you flip the board faster, and you can flip the board off of the side rail. This works for the younger guys because you just can't kick off the nose efficiently. Your legs aren't long enough. You'd have to spread your feet out so much. I remember I was working with a student not that long ago, and I just had a brain fart. We were doing blunt kickflips, and it was just like a little guy. And I'm like, yeah, you just get up into it, and then you flick off of the nose, and the board should roll over. And man, she tries to kick, and she got her legs so wide, and the board is just too long, and could not get it to flip. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Kick off the side rail. Kick off the side rail. And then it started flipping really fast. The reason that I like to use the nose, now that I'm bigger, is that it's just more consistent. The nose comes up at you, and so you're more likely to be able to flick off of it consistently. Kicking off of the side rail works. It's just different. It's just harder to control the board, in my opinion. Generally, just getting it to flip all the way isn't people's problem. It's being able to land on it or consistency, things like that. All right, the next thing that we can do to really start to dial in our setup, I sprayed sunscreen like on my face, and I feel like I'm just breathing it in. One thing I really like to do for my setup is just do a manual, push on my front foot to turn right, and push on my back foot to turn left. This one's gonna be harder for some of the newer skaters, but if you're more advanced, this is a great way to warm up some of those feels that you need for the rails. Okay, and it will also help you start pushing into your front foot while you're holding the manual, which will give you a lot of that tension that will help the board flip. Okay, most people think that when you're doing a manual, all you do is just pick up the board and you just hold your foot in the air. No, you can push on your front foot and hold that manual. And that's actually going to be really useful once you're starting to flip it, because it makes it flip easier. Okay, we got our feet pretty solid. Those tips will take you far when it comes to foot position. That's honestly probably more in-depth foot position, a more in-depth foot position tutorial than you'll really see anywhere when it comes from like content creators. But let's touch on the rest of our body. Okay, how do we control where like our hips and our shoulders are? This is completely neglected in skateboarding, I feel like, until we came along. We started really diving into like the entire body mechanics of tricks, and your entire body is involved in your setup, and I want you to use it. Okay, I tell my students all the time, you have no excuse not to have an all-star setup. I don't care how new you are or how good you are, but when you set up for a trick, it should be absolutely all-star, because we can start with that and then move on. So I'm gonna just start with the things that I like to do, because that's the easiest jumping off point to move forward. Generally, my mistakes come from I get too open, my hip falls out to the side, and I start kicking too far to the right. I'm goofy, so too far off the heel side. My shoulder opens up a little bit, and I tend to get a little bit off the toe side. So on my bad kick flips, I'll either miss or I'll be off the side, or my biggest problem is I slide in front of it. Whoops, I end up out here. And then when I am making it, sometimes I get stuck up over the nose. It's pretty funny, sometimes we're filming reels or shorts or whatever, and I just have to do a simple kick flip for the clip, and I'll get like 5 in a row landing up here. And I'm like, oh. So I fix that problem for me by taking my front foot, flipping it backwards for a second, because that squares me off, and then I put it back into position. And I leave the rest of my body sitting there. I'm going to show you this from the side. So I can set up normally without thinking, move my front foot backwards, and then you see how that squares up my body. My hips are more in line with my board, my shoulders are more in line with my board. It also tends to spread my feet out a little bit, which freaks me out in setup, but generally makes my kick flips a little more consistent. And then I can flip it from here, right? I want to set up here, but then I can actually get it done from there. So that's like the big bucket setup things. I want you to focus on keeping it simple and finding a setup that works well, and then you just build from there. Sure. Now let's touch on the actual flick. I I talked about pushing on the board a little bit, but what is that tension that I was talking about when I said, oh, you can push on the board to make your life easier? What does that mean? The actual flick, the actual tension, and do you need to pop? Like, do you have to hit your tail and fly 16 feet in the air to do a kickflip, or can you flip them without ever hitting your tail? It's a good question. We're gonna start with tension because it's one of those building block concepts that I feel like I'm here to make your life easy, right? I don't want your kickflip staff to be super high effort. I want you to be able to do 20, 40, 100 kickflips in a session without burning your hips out or ending up too dehydrated. I want you to be lazy and efficient so you can skate more and work harder. Tension comes from holding your nose in the air just a little bit and being able to push on your front foot. A great way just to practice like the basics of tension before we get into the flick will be like what I call wheel hovers, where you start on your tail and you push your front foot down to the ground and then pick it back up. You can push your front foot really hard and not even hit your wheels and go back down, right? I am really pushing into my front foot, but it's not hitting the ground. The closer I get my wheels to the ground without hitting, the more tension I have on the nose of the board. Okay? And once you figure those out, you can do like wheel hover, ollies and all these things to really feel how that nose is behaving. Once you get that down, all you have to do is hold that tension and roll your front foot over, right? This is quite difficult to do, but I'm able to push on that front foot and really feel the nose, right? We want this tension because then you can jump and flip the board from there with very little movement, okay? If you jump from Flatground and you actually try your ollie in a big kick, like you're moving your body too much and you're not loading the board properly. Once you feel the front of your shoe on your board, on your grip, it becomes pretty intuitive how to get that whippy flick to happen with the front foot. The actual flick is just that. It's a flick. It is not a kick. So, flick kicks. We're going to do some flick kicks today. So I want you to move your front leg less. So let me make sure I say this the right way. If I pick up my foot, beautiful Skate IQ skateboard, by the way. I love these things. If I pick up my front foot and then I kick down for the kick flip, my front foot is never going to get back over the board. I'm going to demonstrate that. I'll do a moderate jump and I'm going to kick my front leg down at the ground. Okay. We're never going to be able to get that front foot back up into the air to get back on the board. So if your front foot's getting planted on the ground, it's likely just an issue of you misunderstanding how that flick really works. So we're just going to focus on my knee and my ankle for this demonstration. I set up for the flick here. I feel tension in the board. I can feel the nose against my foot. My knee is going to stay this high or go higher as that flick happens. Right? What you're doing is pushing your knee down at the ground as you're flicking. You probably have a decent motion with your ankle and with your foot. That's not the problem because you are kicking instead of flicking, right? We need to leave our knee up high so it floats above the board, okay? I'm going to do that same thing. I'm not going to land on the board, but I'm going to do that same thing, and instead of kicking down through the board, I'm just gonna leave my knee up at the height of the flick. Now everything's floating in the air, okay? I'm gonna do that same jump and I'm gonna kick down through it. Now that front foot gets low, okay? We're in control of our own body. Don't get so distracted by wanting the board to flip so bad that you abandon the slightest chance of even being able to land it just to flip it. Your goals are a bit backwards. We need to focus on setting it up in a way where we at least have a chance if it flips. This is a very important concept. Holding my knee up is the easiest way for me to think about this. The reason that I'm not telling you to kick higher is because that may just plant your back foot on the ground, which is the other most common issue. We'll touch on the back foot in a minute because I want to focus on the flick. So now we're ready to try to take our flick, our ideas, the tension, the direction, and put them into a kickflip. How much do we have to pop or jump to make that happen? I want you to try to do no pop half flips, which means you don't hit your tail on the ground and you flip your board over halfway. The reason is I want everything to become very small. If you try to flip it only halfway, you're not stressed about the flick. If you're trying not to hit your tail on the ground, you're also not stressed about the jump. This also forces you to keep both of your feet over the skateboard, higher than the skateboard, okay? Even if I jump backwards off of it, my feet were higher than the board while it was flipping. That might be, that's more than half the battle. That is legitimately 75% of the battle. To do a no pop half flip, you're gonna have to have both of your feet working together. You're gonna have to find this little bit of tension that we talked about. You're gonna have to have a good foot position that allows you to connect with the rail or the nose. You can take your back foot and send it backwards through the pop a little bit. As always, avoid hitting your back foot on the ground when you pop. Well, for this case, when you no pop. Okay, by moving my back foot backwards, that moves the board backwards, that moves the nose into our front foot even harder. It makes it flip faster without kicking harder. All right, so I move the board just a little bit into my foot and it wants to flip. I recommend trying this fakie because there's free tension. Because we're already moving this way. It's easy to push the tail that way. And you're more likely to flip it all the way accidentally, okay? I would love it if you tried to half flip the skateboard and it accidentally flips all the way without popping. I would love for that to be a light bulb moment for you to go, oh, the board's not that hard to flip. Maybe I just focus on tension and finding a relaxed flick that works, and even if I don't pop, it flips all the way. Then we can do the same thing going forward. It's a little bit harder, in my opinion, compared to fakie. I don't want to hit my head on that. Because that board is more likely to slip behind you and make you feel like you're doing it wrong. Where when you're going fakie, you're moving the same direction as the board. So even if it does get behind you, there's like this thing in your head that goes, we were both moving that direction though, whatever. If I'm going forward and I do a half flip, the board ends up back there, it's a little discouraging. And I want to avoid that and give you maximum tension. That is absolutely killer. Okay, so now we're looking at coming in for landing. At this stage, you can always hold on to a fence or a rail and use it to hold you in the air while you're getting used to the flicks, okay? If you need just practice, if you just need reps landing on your skateboard, that is the best way to learn how to float in the air and then land on it with very little risk. I didn't practice that very much when I was a kid, and I wish I did. That's a short part of the tutorial, but it should be a large part of your practice. All right, now we can get into the fun stuff. Height. All right, Mitchie. I want big, super nasty, dirty, high kickflips. I don't care about none of those no pop, half flip, game of skate kickflips. I want a kickflip off the Empire State Building. Teach me how to catch them and bone them. Basically what we're going to talk about is controlling your flick and jumping really high. All right, now that we are able to flip it without popping, it only makes sense to give ourselves as much space as possible in the air so we have time to flip it and land it. No two kickflips are the same, and you're not on the board till you're on the ground. What I mean is, a lot of times new kick flippers want to feel like that board is attached to their feet in the air. And when you look at a pro, it looks like the board is attached to their feet. Wah! But it's not. The board hits your feet and it rattles around all the time. There have been a lot of times. There's probably been 50 times in my life where I've done the kickflip and it just sticks. And I can feel the board in the air and it's going nowhere. It's glued to my feet in the air. And that's the holy grail of catches. When I go to the skate park, that's one of the things I'm thinking about while I'm driving there, imagining, that kickflip just stuck to my feet in the air. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen every day. It rarely, truly happens. So accept now that while the board is flipping, what you have to do is watch it and chase it down with your feet on the way down. That's most of our lives. Chasing down the skateboard and trying to land on it however the board lands. When you're jumping higher, it's easy to lose your fundamentals. Oh, there it is. I have a little grip tape on my board, on my wheel. Okay, when you're jumping higher, it's easy to lose your fundamentals, but I want you to focus on the basics of your tension, of your balance, of your foot position, and then just add jump and watch it, okay? When I say just add jump, I mean, don't get obsessed with your landing while you're on the way. The more you think about landing a trick when you're setting up for it, oh, this is a must-make kickflip, this is the one that I want to make, then you start thinking about it in a way that isn't conducive to the actual flick, okay? Skateboarding's done in the setup and then going through the process of the trick. If you can turn off your actual conscious thinking mind and feel your way through the things that you practiced, tension, balance, foot position, jump, ollies, landings, then you have a much better chance for that kickflip to work well. It's difficult for me to go back and forth between teaching and doing tricks. I find that to be one of the harder things about the position in teaching and skating, because there are very much two separate sides of my brain, at least it feels like. When you're walking through A to Z, which is necessary for learning, you should understand what you're doing. But when you take someone who's done it their whole lives and you're walking through, okay, foot position, squat, speed, flick, what are they gonna think if I fall? Because they're all watching, and then all of a sudden it just flicks a little awkward, and then we just need to calm the mind down, know that you have the right fundamentals. Oftentimes I'll tell myself things like, I can flip this board without even popping, so if I jump, it's gonna flip, right? Something as stern as that really helps me get through that takeoff and into the flick. In general, we can talk about adding height because it comes up a lot, but I don't love that question from students. How do I add height to my ollies? How do I add a height to my kickflips? The odds are you just need to go to the gym or work on your jumping. Being able to jump high is just a separate skill from being able to ollie really high. Like, if you can jump high and you can't ollie high, you can work on your ollies. If you can ollie but you can't jump high, you could work on jumping, right? Whenever we add height, we only want to pull our power from a stable position from our legs. We're not adding height by going, wow, I'm gonna kickflip to the moon. No, your legs are just strong and you can push into them in a balanced way. And as far as you're concerned, this and that are gonna be the same thing. You're just putting some more power in it. Okay, landing. What is a landing? When does it happen? When is it over? Okay. I'd love to get all woo-woo on you guys because there really isn't a part where the landing is over. You're skateboarding. It's a dance. If your wheels are rolling, you are still in your landing. Okay? Everyone thinks that the landing happens to them and then it's over. And boy, do I have some bad news for you. It is your job to stand up on your landing. That's not gonna happen to you. That's a decision. I land like this. I don't land like this and then slip out. I don't land back here. I don't land there. Okay, you're in control of your body. That's your decision on how you make things. The slams tend to be a little harder when you're standing taller, but your make rate will go up a percentage that would blow you away. So it's worth it to me when it's time to land. That's just how I land. Okay. Then adjustments after that are very important. If you land sideways with your feet all over the place, you have to be able to skate out of it. Great skaters land tricks clean all the time, but more often than not, they're able to save it in a way that you just can't see, and they're so good at saving it that it becomes clean. I've seen people land tricks like 1 foot flying around, saving it and skating off, okay? Landing a trick is a dance. yeah, I'm very happy with that. That is like crash course on kickflips. If you have questions for the actual kickflip, now is a great time to drop those. And I will be checking on the YouTube chat right now to clear up any questions that you might have. And also say what's up to you guys. It's weird. How do you use your hands when you jump? Are you talking to me or someone else? Nikki, sketching landing is a skill that you should work on. Not just like learn through bad kickflips. All of us have bad kickflips sometimes. But you can work on sketchy landings by running and jumping onto your board and landing in different foot positions and doing different hippie jumps where you're landing around with your feet all in different places. How to avoid primo landings. This is a safety tip, so I really like this. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but long legs and soft feet are a great way, right? If I land tall with my feet nice and soft, sometimes we're gonna land primo and it'll just roll down. There is the unavoidable primo, but in general, if you keep your feet soft on landing, you'll be better off. This is hard, actually, for a lot of people. Rarely I get a student who's landing like Thor's hammer with their heels into the ground and the ramp shakes. And then I tell them, hey, hop off your board, just give me a jump and land as soft as you can. Some people are just heavy-footed. That's hard. It feels like landing is like punching the ground, and it's just not. Like, you gotta land like a cat, like land on the balls of your feet, and maybe don't even ever let your heels touch the ground. I don't know a great cue to get people to land softer. It seems to be something that needs to be practiced, and it doesn't come very naturally. I just imagine it like I'm trying to make the least amount of noise as possible. So if I'm gonna land a kickflip, how can I do it without waking my family up if I'm practicing them in the garage at midnight, right? That's a great way to go about it. What's good, stinker dinkers? Thanks for the $5. Thank you, much love back to you. Okay, I'm gonna read a few questions and then we'll touch on the one that I like the most. Not concerned with height, just as much having it not be rocket. I can consistently do rocket flips. Our first tip that we touched on in the flicking section were the no pop hat flips. You can't rocket those because you're not hitting your tail on the ground. Rocket is a shape that comes from your nose getting really high. So you're struggling getting your tail in the air. I say, let's take the shortcut, keep your nose low, get used to flicking it with that shape, and then slowly walk it up. Naveen, I'm gonna need some more positivity from you. Everyone has a chance equally to be answered, you included. All right, don't shut them down. I can flip the board. Okay, we never talked about the back foot, so we'll have to touch on that. We get to touch on that. Where should I have my balance? Sometimes it's too far on my back foot. How do I keep the board leveled out? Okay, so I love when this happens. We have a few questions coming in that are similar. This board needs to be leveled out. If I plant my back foot on the ground and rocket it and flick it into the air, I accidentally leveled it out. That's hilarious. Dang it. We should get a stream overlay that is black and white for when we're ready to do mistakes, just like the YouTube videos. Okay, let's see if I can do a bad kickflip. That was not a good bad one. It's just over rocketing. There we go. There we go. Okay. There's a funny thing with skateboard balance. I actually don't think it matters as much where your weight is placed over your feet while you're skating. That's a hot take, but I don't think that matters as much as the fact that you're not allowed to shift your weight backwards as you initiate any trick ever. So if you set up more weight on your back foot, I think that's okay as long as when you do the trick, you are moving a little bit forward. When you're on your front foot, you might not have the luxury of moving forward anymore, but you can go straight up and down. But in neither case can you go backwards. So a great example is if I start all the way over my front foot and then I lean back a little bit as I pop, that board is gonna keep going. It's never gonna stop. So when it comes to balance, it's actually the direction you're initiating your power and how you're using your feet more so than your actual balance, okay? We're gonna show this on ollies because it's easier to demonstrate. I'm gonna balance over my front foot, okay? All my weight's here, very light. I can do an ollie from there, right? I never really added too much pressure on my back foot. Besides when I jumped, I was actively pushing into it because I wanna load the tail. Now, we're gonna load up the back truck a lot. This front foot is the wheels are like coming up naturally. Ollie, all right? That's fine. I'm all the way back there. I can ollie. As long as my weight doesn't shift backwards through the initiating motion of the pop, okay? Even if I'm all the way up here again, if I just shift back and ollie, it's gone. This might be why your kickflips are rocketing. This might be why you're stuck on the ground. Keeping your back foot in the air is hard because you have to jump. This could be another instance where you just got to be able to jump higher. Make sure your ollies, can it float at least, like if you can jump this high, all you got to do is jump that high, okay? You're not pushing your back foot into the ground to do a kickflip. I wish there was an easy way to get it in your head that you should focus on jumping and trying to get your half flips and less about trying to flip the board all the way and just plant your foot on the ground. Those are some golden nuggets when it comes to kickflips. Hope you guys are enjoying our ad-free YouTube live experience. Testing it out. See how that experience is for you guys. Obviously, it's really helpful to get some members up in the chat. We want to run these streams more often, be more available to you guys. The more members we get, the more we can be here. That's just straight up how it works. The biggest problem is getting my front foot on. Zach, make sure you just go watch the beginning of the video. I think that no pop half flip tension section will be really useful for most of these questions. I'm going to make sure that the questions I answer aren't reiterating from earlier. This video will turn into a VOD, be posted on YouTube, and it will be time-stamped accordingly. So you can go get all the information that you need from this when we're done. Welcome, perps. That's officially our first member on this stream. You're an absolute legend. Just a little guy in there. much love, a lot of appreciation. We're really excited to be doing this. We're really excited that, you know, it feels like something new. It feels like literally something new in not only for Skate IQ, not only for me, not only do I love streaming, it feels like something new in skateboarding as well, in like a new concept that hasn't really been done this way, at least. So, very exciting. Ads or not, still a W stream. Okay, so we're looking at one more thing that I wanted to touch on for kickflips. Yeet. Yeah, Sean Wall, you're the man. Allie, I don't know how you've been in every single stream, dropping W stream, W filmer, W Tyler, W ad roll, W waiting screen. Yeah, not only do I love teaching and coaching and skateboarding and being able to connect with people, that's like one of the things that I think I enjoy about life the most, which is kind of funny because I'm ultra competitive. I also love training and turning on the blinders, getting tunnel vision, dialing in tricks, and then go throwing them on like the big stage and flexing. But I also love talking with skaters and new skaters and other people and like really connecting every way that I can. I feel like it's a really big piece of my life and it's really important to me. And I've always enjoyed streaming because of that. Because it's like the perfect balance. I get to focus on what I'm doing and I get to talk to 400 people. And I feel like I get to hang out with you guys. So I think that's quite a special situation that we live in 2025 where we can just wear a backpack and I get to hang with all you guys. It's crazy. Maybe the last tip for kickflips. I'm going to check the questions after, but it looks like it'll be about a wrap on those. And this one's near and dear to my heart, so that's why I want to touch on it. Kickflip lands behind me. How do I fix that? I think there's easy ways to fix it. I don't think I've fixed it the easy way, to be honest, in my own skating, because it works such a low percentage of the time. Like I still land on the front of the board. What I try to do is get more pressure on my front foot on the nose, and I actually try to throw the board forward with my front foot. I try to feel the nose and get extra tension on the grip tape and probably run through my New Balance 440 high tops a little bit quicker than I would otherwise. I don't actually think that this is the easiest way. If it was the easiest way, it would work all the time and take probably less skill, to be honest. It feels like it takes a lot of skill whenever I'm trying to make that adjustment. What I would do is shift the board forward in your stance more, okay? When you're standing there in your neutral position, you can shift the board out forward or backwards or forwards. I would just shift it forward and leave it there. And I think that would solve a lot of it. I always forget to do my kickflips like that. I haven't really practiced it, so this is a bit of a guinea pig attempt right here. Shift it forward. Yeah, and now that board is way out there. I think that's much easier, and if I can remember that, that's the strategy that I'm gonna use when it comes to solving that problem. Let's try one more. Feels different, looks different, has a different vibe to it. Like when I'm doing it, it feels like a different energy. I wouldn't be as comfortable doing that over a big like A-frame or whatever, like a pyramid like this. If I was gonna do kickflip from this side, land in that side, I would go about it my old strategy because my safety net is to land here and I can run out of it. I'm just not used to the other side. But I think the adjustment would work regardless. All right, let's do a basic straight up Q&A, chat for a bit, and then we're gonna move on to our next subject, our next trick. Hesher, thanks for the $5 dono. I skate a 10-inch board. I can ollie up a curb. Would it be better to learn kickflips on a smaller board? That depends on what your issue is. Can you flip the board? Like, I just don't think the skateboard width is that wide. 10 inches, I just don't think it's that wide compared to 7.5 or 8, right? So if you can flip it, it's not that big of a deal. Your wheelbase and nose and tail shape will affect you more than just width. Also weight as well. So if your trucks are really heavy and wide and your wheels are 64s and meant for longboarding, like, setups are not just board width. Tom, thanks for the MX50. I think that means from Mexico. How do you flick the board on the nose, send it forward, and not have it rotate backside? Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Okay, if your back foot is moving towards you when you pop, your board's gonna rotate. So if I'm popping and I'm sending my back foot backwards, that just might make it rotate. I actually try and flick across the nose a lot of times. I try to flick up, straight up off the top of the nose. And I can do that without flipping it backside by countering with the direction you're moving your back foot for popping. So you can always practice front shoves, front 180s, or even ollies and shift the board forward. Landing primo on a 10-inch board will indeed send you to the shadow realm. There is no doubt in my mind. And what's up, Harold? Good to see you again. I can't kickflip while rolling, only stationary issues. This is Chinese guy, I have the same issues. And so the rolling thing might be just because of your balance while you're in your squat. Wait, sorry, I said that wrong. Your board position while you're in your squat. You can take your squat, send your board forward. That will help keep your board more over here, making it easier to keep your board in front of you. We covered that not too long ago. Yeah, let's do general Q&A. I do not care for these few minutes about, you know, this is about what you guys want to talk about a little bit. Heel flips turn away from me. I can flip and back foot catch, but the nose rotates. Rotating the board accidentally seems to be one of the hardest problems for me to solve, simply because I never remember dealing with it. I think it's because I skated when I was very, very, very young. I don't remember life before skating. I don't remember what it was like not to be able to kickflip and drop in on vert and do airs and things. So it is hard for me to understand the accidental rotation. It seems like chat has done a very good job at helping me understand that. There was one tip yesterday that stopped the board from rotating, and it was turning your back foot backwards a little bit. Give that a shot and see if that stops the board from rotating. I feel obligated to learn front shoves before kickflips. When do you think I should learn kickflips? I think kickflips should be one of the last things you learn. Skateboarding is full of surprises. If you can push comfortably, go up and down banks, ollie up and down step-ups, skate with your friends, skate a bowl, do manuals and reverts and 180s and shove-its, kickflips will come pretty naturally and hopefully pretty easily. Kickflips are hard because new skaters want to do them so bad. I really feel like kickflips are like a year 2, year 3 kind of thing, not a month 6 or 7 kind of thing. And when I say 2 or 3, I mean for the guys who are out there grinding, working on their skateboarding all the time and have a very strong fundamental base. The students I have that have been skating for 2 years are probably outperforming the general classic, been skating for 2 years kind of people. I mean, they're going to training facilities and paying for coaching. For one, they're motivated. They're like 6 hours a day on their board. And a lot of them can kickflip, but still not the easiest trick in the world. What hooked you to vert? How terrifying was Mega? Vert was just fun. I was a little guy. I was 6 years old, and the vert ramp was empty at the very busy skate park. There was BMXers and skaters and rollerblades and scooters and all these things. It was like 20,000 square feet, and there were people everywhere. The vert ramp was always empty. So I would go, when the park was busy, I'd go pump it for 20, 30 minutes at a time. And I just got my vert legs very young. And then once you get your vert legs and you're 7 years old, there's just nothing better. Thank you, Derek. You're the best, actually. I've done the research. I found out that Derek is actually the best, not me. I purposely pop the board a bit backside to counter when I flip, it turns frontside. This is what I do. No one. This is exactly what I do. I read how the board is flipping and I just push it the other direction. It doesn't ever feel like there's this perfect neutral place where I'm on the board and it's completely flipping exactly perfectly. I'm just erring to one side or the other. And I could probably learn from that, actually, in kind of the sense where, like, with skateboarding, I've been doing it for so long, I understand on a very deep level that it doesn't make sense to try to make it perfect, because it's not gonna be perfect, because it's skateboarding. I'm a bit of a perfectionist in other areas, and I think if I understood that we're just constantly making adjustments and dealing with small errors, and that's how it works, I think I would probably be happier. What's up, Zephyr? Facts, that's all we spit. School subscription or purchase programs? Oof, you got a decision to make, don't you? How to stick your kickflips up and off of the bank. We could touch on banks, but we're focusing on Flatground this stream, and we are about to move on to our next subject. Corlin, that's a great question. Don't kick down through the nose. You can kick up and off of it, and if you feel too much pressure, you can lighten your flick, actually. If your nose is moving down, probably flicking heavy or falling forward. We touched on the idea throughout the stream, so I'm not too concerned. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. You should have a program for chaotic, disorganized people. Harold, that's what the programs are. I hate to break it to you, but that's exactly what programs are. To take the chaos and disorganization and to put it in an easy to follow, step-by-step thing that you don't have to think about to do it right. That's like the whole point. Find some hip exercises, no doubt. No doubt. I like thin crust. I haven't been a deep dish pizza kind of person, but I also haven't really tried it. No, I did try it. Didn't we have a deep dish? Didn't we have a deep dish in Italy? Deep dish pizza? What was that one? It was like Neapolitan. At Montepulciano. It was Neapolitan. It wasn't good. thin crust all the way, a little bit crunchy. There's this place called East Coast Pizza down in Cardiff by the sea, down in SoCal by Encinitas, that is really good. They have some, what is it, buffalo chicken and ranch. And Best Pizza also has that. All right, Q&A, soft end for the Q&A. Let's get into our next portion. One sec, let me lock in. Let's talk about rotating. Rotating is a fundamental skill that you need on your skateboard, whether it's backside, front side, switch or regular, even nollie or fakie. There are some fundamental things that you can do to make your life easier so you can spin faster, more consistently, and you can roll away with confidence. When it comes to just 180s, we're gonna have to touch on switch, because there's no way to do a 180 and not have to deal with switch skating. If I go in regular, guess what? I'm coming out switch, baby. And if I want to come out regular, we had to go in switch. So the basics are going to stay the same when it comes to 180s. Our body, we're going to use our hips and we're going to use our upper body to wind up and to get power to spin. But some things do change when you take off fakie versus forward, or nollie versus switch. That's just a teaser. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that later. So for this section of the live stream, it's going to be all about 180s. We can break up 180s into two separate pieces. The first 90 and then the second 90. And they are very different strategies of how to handle those two pieces. But the good thing is they go across all 180s. So once you learn the in will stay the same. Once you learn the exit will stay the same. We'll start with reverts, and what we're going to do is start in the setup, and we're going to use our whole body to get power for the rotation, right? Generally, new skaters, everyone can use their hands to wind up. This is very easy for people. I tell them to wind up, and they wind up very high. I'm doing it, and then they try to spin down into the ground. I see it enough to where I'm starting with it, because that's just the opposite of what we're supposed to do, right? If I wind up high, then I'm gonna push into the ground when I try to spin, and my wheels aren't gonna go anywhere. If I wind up high, when I squat down, I'm gonna unwind, right? Why did I do anything at all? You just squat and you're in the same place. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons not to wind up high. We wanna pair our wind up with our squat. Okay, it's a very specific move, and it's one that you're probably not used to. So what I want you to do is squat and turn your hips at the same time. I don't mean twist. I don't mean squat and twist your hips. This is another very common issue that I see. It's a small difference, but think about it more like this. Okay, imagine if you were standing there and you had your friend walk around you and you were just trying to keep your body facing them, right? So you would turn your chest and your hips to follow the person talking or walking, right? If you were to point at them, right, this is how I want you to wind up. That makes a lot more sense. If they were walking around and you had to follow them, you wouldn't go like this and then turn and then. I know it's wrong when you start getting side bend. It just blows my mind how often this happens. Like wind up, they're like, okay. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Just rotate, okay? Squat, rotate, so you can jump to initiate your 180. Right, even that little hop that I did made the 180 very light. Compared to the high, wind up, awkward, twist the hips, down into it, okay? You can see the difference right away. We can touch on the front side one, just because we're here. Down and back. And you see, so let me go on a little bit of tangent here, and I can do it because it's my life. I am very much a backwards skater. If I'm skating goofy, my strong stance, and it would be at all beneficial for me just to face backwards as if I was skating a little bit switch, I'm gonna do it. Just turn my back foot backwards, turn my front foot backwards, and I can wind up like this, okay? When I was growing up, I could never do front threes or anything like that, even what I just did there. Because I was very caught up in the idea that I had to face this way. And I had to try to do my frontside spins from that position. And I was having a conversation with Bob Burnquist when I was like 13. And he was trying a nollie, frontside heel flip, slob, 360. And I said those words to him. And he looked at me and said, it's just easier to think about it like a switch cab heel. And I paused for a minute and just thought, like, well, first of all, I thought he must be wrong, because you can't skate switch and nollie at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. Switch fakie isn't real. But then as I grew up and spent more time on my board and started skating more switch, yeah, like I genuinely think about things like switch fakie as a completely viable option. If I'm struggling with nollie flips, I'll just treat it like a switch fakie flip. I was doing a trick earlier. Just trying to get my nollie souths all dialed. Yeah, fakie ollie north. And sorry guys, I hate to break it to you, but you just turn around and your life might get easier. Okay, so if I'm winding up for a frontside rotation, I'm just gonna turn my back foot backwards a little bit. Right, and I'm gonna face my back to the target and I'm gonna squat into it. Right, and then I can jump at the initiating part of this rotation and then push to finish it, okay? Down and into the wind up is very, 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 very important. And will take practice, okay? Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna wind up and then you're gonna squat and slip out of it. And then you're gonna lean back to fix it. This is the process that is guaranteed to happen to 90% of you trying to learn 180s, right? You go like this. Wind up. Slip out of the wind up when you squat, then lean back to spin. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, the unspoken rule, if you lose your board, it goes the furthest possible place from you that it can possibly go. I'm gonna sit on this. I'm gonna sit on this concept for a minute because it's happening to you guys right now, whether you know it or not. If I don't wind up, if I'm not wound up in the bottom of my squat, I have no more rotation to pull from. So I'm gonna lean to get power, because that feels like it's helping me spin. Well, no, it is helping me spin. But at what cost? And it's the same, both backside and front side. If you don't wind up, you're gonna end up behind it. This looks different for fakie, because if I'm going fakie and I don't wind up and I lean back, that happens. Which I guarantee is happening to you guys right now as we speak. I'm gonna quickly check. I want you guys to be honest. Has this ever happened to you? I think Nolly gets points. If you're going forwards, you're actually going backwards. Genius. Guilty, 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 guilty. Yeah, all the time. Yep, 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 yes. That's my main issue. Happened to me just last week. That's one of the first things I ever did on my board. Yes, on my half cabs. Guilty, yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's how we know we're on the right track. It's like it can be like 90% of learners. So let's make sure we really solve this. You understand, one more time I'm gonna run through it. If you're not wound up at the bottom of your squat, the only thing you can do to rotate is lean off of it. This will help you spin, but you will lose your balance, so it's pointless. So, I want you to combine your squat with your wind up, okay? As you squat more, you wind up more. Not pre-wind, then squat, because you're very likely to slip out of it at the bottom, okay? What I mean by that is, even if I'm holding all this wind up and I squat, it's slowly gonna start leaking, and then you run into this position where it's like, it was just pointless to wind up at all. Now we're at the bottom of the squat in a good wind up. What do we do now? I want you to start pushing and stand up, arguably into a deeper wind up on the way up to feel this thing that you're missing. The reason it's such a high likelihood that it happens to so many people, is because they think that, okay, I need to be unwinding as I stand up 100% of the time or it will not work. And I'm letting you know that there is another tension point that you can use for your 180s or all your spins. You can stand up and wind up more as you're standing up and then let it go. This is very common on transition, less common on street, okay? Wind up, into it, up, and around, okay? There is this tension point that you'll find that lets you jump and spin, okay? I'm not saying you have to do that every time. It's definitely not necessary. You can be stable and just go backside. You don't have to do that extra wind-up thing. But I want you guys to know that, to know it's not such a cut and dry thing that it's like, okay, I have to only be spinning backside, down, and up through my jump. No, you can kind of you can be wavy with it to get that rotation going. You just want to make sure you have that tension, you have that wind up at the bottom of your squat and at the start of your jump. However you can find that, I'm happy. Weight distribution and chest. So if you're looking at what my chest is doing, very often it is bent over, facing the ground at something like a 45-degree angle, maybe more. Okay? My chest will rarely ever get all the way up to the horizon. So if I'm facing, You know, if I'm just pointing at my chest is rarely high enough to be meeting the sunset. Oftentimes, people feel like with rotations, they have to do that to somehow stay over the board. Like it will help them get around and it will help them stay over the board. But I'm going to show you something that usually blows the student's mind. I can stand on my board like this, and I can also turn front side like this. The implications of that mean that this does not lean me forward, and this does not lean me back. They almost have nothing to do with your actual balance as far as toe side and heel side. Your turning, the board turning, will come from your foot position. If I stand on the heel side of the board, I'm gonna turn that way. If I stand on the toe side of the board, I'm gonna turn that way. When I'm in the neutral foot position, I can be like this and turn backside or front side, right? Same thing with my chest down, backside or front side. So there are all these tools that you can use to turn, but generally people think that like this is forward and this is heel side. And it's just so far from the truth. It's beneficial to have your chest down towards the ground because you can easily see your board. You can keep your center of gravity low, and you can adjust. Okay, if I push my chest down more, makes it easier to get to the toe side. If I pick my chest up, it makes it easier to get to the heel side. That doesn't mean that it's always directly connected to which direction you're turning. It's just a very nice tool to be able to use within this range. It takes discipline to keep your chest down while you are spinning. Okay, see that? Everything's right in order. It takes discipline because it feels like you are taking away power from your rotation, but you're really not. As long as we're winding up with our hips at the bottom and getting this nice wavy takeoff, we don't have to rely on our hands and our upper body to get these spins moving. Something that usually seals the deal when it comes to chest placement is you have probably seen 540s. To do a 540, generally, you have a grab. If you have a grab, generally, chest is down. If you're doing a 540 and you get a grab, boom, you're right here. You have also probably seen kickflip indies. Kickflip indie happens right here. You could probably visualize it on some video right here. So when you jump and flick, your chest is staying in the game because if you get up here, you can no longer find it. Kickflip 540s. Wind up, up, chest down, flick, reach for the board, right? Backside 180s, backside flips. Your upper body stays in so you can stay concrete, you can stay balanced, and you can stay small, okay? There is never a good reason, at least I haven't seen one, to throw your upper body up into the air and up backwards like this. And I see it constantly whenever someone is struggling on rotations. Seriously. I mean, just not understanding how the upper body works. And I learned it, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I'll be straight up with you. I learned it when I was getting golf coaching to keep my upper body in it, because I had to shift my weight towards my heels more than I was doing, and I was doing it by throwing my chest back. If I just shift my weight towards my heels, keep your chest in it, and voila. And I was like, oh, that's how you do fives, of course. It's very dry here. My throat is bugging. Okay, that's the basics of the wind up and the takeoff. Let me touch on that same thing, but switch, and then we will get into the air and we will get to landing them. For switch, winding up is much more difficult at first. I actually watch our YouTube videos now, and I switch back and forth between switch skating and goofy skating very seamlessly with the basics now. I can't do, like, I'm not a professional switch skater. I'm not doing like switch trays and kick flips and switch backside flips and this stuff all the time. But it is weird watching the videos, and like even something small, like when I skate this way, I'll just push switch, and then now I'm goofy, and if I think about it too much, I actually start forgetting which one is the strong one and like which tricks I can do which direction. If I don't think about it, it becomes very obvious because I have all the feel, but like it is a bit of a trip, and I would love it if while you're learning 180s and while you're trying to wind up in these switch stances, if you took the extra time to get your switch skating to be seamless, back and forth with the fundamentals. So what I mean is like this. Like you can throw down and arguably stop, you know, both directions. That's hard. Like that's hard to do. I don't know if people really practice that kind of stuff. I would very much highly recommend it, because those are the skills that you need to pull from when it comes to getting a proper wind up and getting a nice takeoff. Having feel for your back foot on the tail while you're at the bottom of your squat, so you can make these micro adjustments that are impossible to tell you. And honestly, if I were to actually get it on paper and tell you, it would just confuse you more. Build your feel switch on all the little idiosyncrasies of skating. Don't worry about tricks. Get your foundation up, and then it will come easier. It's the only way it will really come, to be honest. Like, switch is hard and it takes time. So, with that being said, really focus on facing your target on switch. And at the bottom of your squat, really get used to feeling your new back foot on what is now your tail, okay? You're gonna have to push into your back foot a lot more than you do on your strong stance, because there is just this unspoken comfort in your strong stance. Your back foot's more involved than you'd think, generally. For switch, it becomes very obvious. Your back leg will get tired immediately. But as long as you focus on facing your target on your squat and jumping, you can get it started. I promise. Avoid the very common issue of letting your shoulder go before your board comes. I'm going to do this away from the camera. With switch, it's very easy to get here, where your shoulder gets too far, and then you can't bring your foot around to finish it. Keep your back foot ahead of your shoulder by facing your upper body forward, right? See how this back foot is now ahead of my shoulder, and now I can push it. That's good. This all comes with an asterisk. Asterisk. How did I forget that word? Asterisk. Because switch skating, that's a very new feeling. My right foot, my right shoulder. It took a long time to get that feel. My shoulder always led the way, and it made it really hard. Okay, this comes from facing your target on the windup, jumping, extending into that windup, and then keeping that foot ahead as you're spinning. Okay, this gets us to 90. This gets us to 90, both backside and switch backside, front side, and I believe you can put the pieces together for the switch front side. All right, that's how you get into the revert. How do you get out? All right, we touched on it a little bit, but I want you to forget about your skateboard. I want you to forget everything you know about skateboarding and just stand there and do a lunge backwards with both feet. Okay, do a lunge, take your squat, feel your balance, hang for a second, rotate your back foot, then look. Okay, this is how we get out of our 180s. Step, balance, rotate, go. None of this, oh, I'm finishing my 180 though. So I lunge like this now because I'm spinning. None of that. You step straight back, you just rotate your ankle, and then you look with your head and as much as your body needs to follow. You're already rotating. Like, you started your spin. So that doesn't exist. This motion doesn't exist to finish the 180. It's straight back. Your board is a circle. So when you push on your back wheels, it will turn that corner, right? So you just get into the 180, you get into the 90-degree spot. We'll stop right here, right? And then you do that lunge backwards, and then you step on it and look. You say, Mitchie, 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 Mitchie. But when I do that, my foot goes directly behind me, right? I'm not lunging straight backwards. That's different than this. And yes, that's because you're on your skateboard. That doesn't mean that you are guiding your board from here to here. I'm not trying to put my front trucks on my hat. I'm trying to push my foot towards this mark right here, and my board is turning it over to the hat. It's a very small difference, and I get it. It might seem like might seem pointless. I don't know. I promise that it is not. It makes your life so much simpler. And it actually gives you power to finish your rotations. There's no power like this. You just don't have it. You always have a Kickstarter this direction, no matter what. You don't need to push off of anything. You can always kick this way. You can't always rotate effectively. So if you just kick behind you, your board will finish the job. So you get in strong and then kick through. Okay, and that stronger the kick, the better off you are, especially switch. It's very difficult to switch backside, but it's good fun when you learn it. Okay, so that covers backside, front side, switch. Let's do the popping. Let's do a little bit of popping, and then we'll do fakie and nollie. It's hot out here. It's nighttime and it's hot out here. Okay. When you pop for your 180s, what's different about it than regular ollies, and what's different about it than just a regular revert? Let's do a straight 180, very simple. Okay, that's how most of the 180s are gonna end up looking. I actually like to do them a little more separated, like separate the pop from the spin. To me, that's a little bit more consistent. Let me get these lights on. It's a little bit more consistent for me to pop the board straight up and then rotate. They are just through, do you know where they are, Ty? Okay. It's a little more consistent for me to pop it straight in the air and then use my feet to rotate it, but I get it, it's a lot harder to learn. And I know this very well because I can't do it like that switch. So we're just gonna take our reverts and we're gonna throw maximum power into the rotation, and we are just gonna jump and hit our tail on the ground. Very similar to just like a hippie jump where you scrape your tail. Something like this. That's all you have to ollie. But you have to spin that fast. Okay? If you do those things together, you should have a very simple 180. There is some feel there that is hard to explain. I'm trying to keep my back foot on the tail in the air. And I do this by trying to grab the toe side rail just a little bit with the inside of my foot like this. All right, so if I were to do this straight, it would be like I'm really driving this ankle into the tail as it's hitting the ground. And I'm doing that as I'm doing that revert 180. It's a very drivey motion with the back foot. So we could argue that backside 180s are a very back foot controlled trick. You drive into it through your takeoff and then you push through on the way out. That would explain why it's so hard to switch, because we don't have that feel when the other foot becomes our back foot. I'll try one. I have faith that I can do it. I have some faith. That took me so long to learn. Switch backside 180s just like that. That's not like, yeah, it's clean, it feels comfortable and natural, which that's what I appreciate about it. That's not like professional big back 180, let's go up over a pyramid, or, you know, switch back 1 to 5-0 on a rail. But man, does it make me happy that I'm able to do that now, because that's one of those tricks that I was not able to do most of my life. I probably learned those after I turned 15, 16, you know, like I got good at it like later into my skating. So genuinely, I remember more time not being able to do that than being able to do that. So they're extra fun for me. Fakie and nollie. What changes about 180s when we're taking off from the lead truck? The biggest thing is it's easier to rotate. Something about words I don't understand when it comes to fulcrum point and leverage and all these things. I just know that if I'm spinning off of the front truck, the board rotates around that front truck. If I'm spinning off of my back truck, the whole board feels like it rotates around the center of the board, right? So I'm going forward and I do a 180, it rotates around this part. If I'm taking off the front truck, now it's rotating around the front truck. That's simple. It's gonna rotate faster because it's closer to the nose. I know that to be true. I couldn't explain the math to you. Believe me. I bet someone can, and they will agree with me. But this means that our balance for takeoff is gonna have to be a little more specific because it's touchy. So I want you to focus on the fakie 180s and the nollie 180s like you're trying to ollie a little bit straighter. You're still trying to spin with all the same technique and the same power, but through your actual takeoff, you're not driving that back foot like you would on your regular 180s. If I drive my back foot, that board's gonna end up way on the wrong side of me. Okay, you're just ollieing a lot straighter like you regularly would and letting it spin. Okay, you're also arguably sending that board a little more towards the direction you're going, which is opposite of driving it forward. I'm doing my fakie ollie, I'm driving my board this way, away from me, towards where I'm going, which if I'm going goofy, right, it's the opposite direction. Okay, that should be pretty simple. Or maybe not simple, but that's how it works. Maybe we can make it easier. Chat is going crazy. Let's see. Okay, right now I'm going to answer some questions about 180s, all directions, all types, all sizes, whatever. Okay, live streaming, Woodward will be sick. I hope to see myself if I go. You'll be hanging with us. If you're hanging with us at Woodward, you'll be on the stream. But if you're more excited to be on the stream than hanging with us, what are you doing? If you look up what a W looks like, Mitchie's face and skate IQ pop up. You are too much, Ali. Okay, now I lock in. My middle name is Arthur. All right, guys, let's get these 180s going. Backside revert, where do you balance, front foot or back foot? Okay. Any tips to learn vert as a street skater? So we're gonna touch on the balance for the 180. Your balance will always stay between your feet in some way or another. My balance is never getting outside of my front foot, and it's never getting outside of my back foot. When we say more towards our front foot or balance on your front foot, if we're 50-50, we're going to take it and make it 60-40 or 70-30 towards the front foot, but it's still well on the inside of the front foot. So when you're halfway through the 180, you want more weight on your front truck so your back truck has an easier time sliding around. This could be as little as 60-40. It could be as much as 90-10. Depends on your speed, how sticky the ground is, what kind of wheels you have, and how you're coming into the ground. But it will never sit outside of that 80-20. Let's look at day 20 of asking Mitchie what his favorite street part is. I think I answered that. Kudos. I had three top picks that I really liked. Mike Moe fully flared because I'm basic and I love it. Sue me. Day one song, almost round 3, because I grew up on it and it made me like the type of skating that I like, which is funny because I also have done a lot of vert. I don't know why that worked for me, but it did. When I'm skating street, I like manuals and little flip tricks and little 180s and stuff. But third part, PJ Ladd, Wonderful Horrible Life. It's just a goated part. There's nothing about it that I complain. Please don't sue me. If you want to get better at Brazil, don't get Braziled. Caitlin, I am a grand champ, actually, in twos with my brother. So, here we are. What's up? If you want to get better at vert skating as a street skater, you should get used to wearing pads and being able to fall seamlessly. Get really used to skating about 8 feet up the ramp and pumping strong on the way up and learning how to pop without floating away from the wall at that low height. If you can do big spins and ollies and try your kick flips and do safe knee slides and never feel like you're moving away from the ramp, you're in great shape to progress. Vert skating just takes a long time. You're just gonna have to skate it for 20, 100, 200 hours at that safe place before you can really move on. We're not kids anymore. Unfortunately, we can't get away with some of these big slams that you're inevitably gonna take if you move on too quickly. So we have to be reasonable about that progression and focus on safety. Joel, I have about 900 hours on Rocket League, and I had to quit so I could build a business. I am so addicted to video games, it would blow your mind. I could sit there for 16 hours straight and play CSGO on Face It on repeat and not even flinch. Go to bed, wake up, do it again. Then play Rocket League till 4 in the morning, because that's when all the sweats are on, and just love it and love every second of it. And then watch YouTube videos in between, record gameplay and go back and watch it and take notes. Like, I'm insane. I had to stop. I'm clean. I haven't played video games since February in 2024. And if you notice, when a lot of our content started coming out, it was about then. Thank you, Jim. Help me straighten out ollies enough to land while moving. Frontside 180s, almost there. I love it. I love to see it. PlayStation, I was sponsored by PlayStation, actually, for a little bit. I had a great deal with them. I really loved it. RL made me crash out. Honestly, it's probably a valid crash out. Rocket League is not good for your health. No, it is. It's one of the best games ever. It's actually a solid game through and through. Sometimes you just get unlucky 50s, especially in twos, or you just, I don't know. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But all I know is that when you're about to rank up, you're going to lose 4 straight, and then it's time for bed. And that is, can't end on a loss. I never played 1.6, actually. I started playing CSGO very late. I built a PC very late in 2017. Honestly, Fortnite got me into PC gaming, and then that Rocket League, CSGO, and then switched over to Valorant when that came out. I never got into Siege either. Mitchie should couch you or IRL? I don't know. You guys are crazy. You guys are all crashing out because of Rocket League. The sacrifice, Matthias, it's a big sacrifice for me. Genuinely, it's a big sacrifice for me. I was sitting at my desk the other day. I left my controller in Seattle on purpose because I don't have that kind of self-control. I left it at my dad's house, sitting at my desk the other day with a black screen on, just staring at it, finding a way that I could start playing Valorant and not ruin my life. And I could not think of how I could do it. It's just 1 hour. It's just 1 hour. But then it's 1 hour and you miss one swing. You swing out the wrong way and then you start grinding and it's over. How do you forget old habits skating after you learn the easy or right way? For me, that comes pretty naturally because I have a very fluid idea of my skating. Like if I really care about a trick, the reason I have bad habits on tricks is I don't tend to do them very much. Maybe I understand that if I want to fix my Tre Flips, that I'm gonna have to work on it for like a couple of months, and I'm like really respectful of that. I don't expect to wake up and just think I want to fix my Tre Flips, so now they're gonna be fixed. It's like first the decision, then you figure out what you have to do, then it starts working in your head, then it starts working in practice, and then it starts working when you're trying to land it, and then it works on some of the makes, and then it works on more of the makes, and then you're more likely to do it the right way, and that's gonna take 5 months. Like, I'm just very respectful of that process, and I can easily dedicate a lot of time to skating because I'm very used to doing that. I've done that my whole life. I feel like the more time I dedicate to skating, the better my life gets. I have this like very good feedback loop with it, and so that's how I rewire the bad habits. You just know it's the right thing, and then you dedicate a bunch of time to it, and then you get better. It's very straightforward, but it's hard. +1. I have made one flip reset in a game, and it was very weak, and it bounced in, and he missed the block. So it wasn't that sick, but I did get it to reset off of the ball, and then I did flick. Yeah, this is great. This is a great question. Legend of Rick G. Can you talk about the balance points regarding Manny 180 pivot to Fakie Manny? And the reason I like this is because it's relevant to our 180s. I'm a sucker for manuals. Man, do I love manuals. I think they are the key to a good life on your skateboard. You can practice so many things on your manuals. So, the biggest thing, the difference when you have 2 wheels on the ground compared to 4 wheels on the ground is an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless some other stuff happens. So if I have 1 foot on the ground, 2 wheels on the ground, and I'm rotating, I'm gonna rotate forever. There's not really a good way to stop that rotation from happening, okay? It's very hard to rotate backside in a manual, but I will try. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going and keep going. It never stops. We can use that to our advantage because our bodies, right, you can twist it up and then untwist it. So if I turn all the way around, I can actually leave my shoulders here and kick my back foot through and not have to rotate too much, right? Wow. That's how you're gonna get that manual 180 going. So they're easier to start if you half cab into it. So you rotate into it, you hold your manual so it goes, and then you slide your back foot through, and then you can skate out of it backwards, and you'll probably keep rotating. That plus a tiny little hop is gonna be really nice. So you half cab into your manual, you're rotating, you get super wound up, you hop as you push that back foot through. You should feel very little pressure on the ground during the power slide. There is always this little hop motion as it comes around. And man, are those fun. They're hard. They're hard. I think they're called hot wings. They're hard, but it is worth it. The front side ones are cool too. The front side ones are super cool. Joel, get hooked on skating. It's good for your health. You'll make friends. You'll stay in shape. It's fun. Like, skateboarding is very good for you in the sense that, like, riding on your board, feeling the wind on your face, staying in shape, being social, pushing yourself, being outside, these things are very good for you. And there's a lot of reasons that skating tends to make my life better when I do it more often, right? It's not a bad thing to really get yourself involved in. I used to watch a lot of streamers. Shroud. Tyler's last name is Stroud. Shroud a lot. Dakota's when he was, be careful. Daquan and Hamlin's are pretty goated. Physics class makes you better at skating, confirmed. I honestly was not good in school, but I've always had a really good sense of like just regular like sports physics. Like I like playing pool. I love golf. I'm a freaking golf fanatic. I played football and basketball growing up. I like skateboarding. I've always thought about vert skating as energy in motion a lot more than just thinking about it like riding a skateboard. I don't know. My brain has always been good at that. Not so much the actual physics, like the schooling physics of it. Legend of Rick G. I really hope that those hot wings, those manual 180s, really, really come along, because I think they're like one of the best, most fun things in skating. I feel like before people start skating at parks, they should learn break falls and shoulder rolls. Socializing is hard. If you're not socialized properly, you're going to have a hard time. And understanding that there is a social etiquette at a skate park is 90% of the battle. It doesn't matter what you wear, what pads you have on, what tricks you're working on. If you stand where the skaters stand and you skate in the same directions and you get out of the way when you fall, unless it's life-threatening, you'll be just fine. Cheer people on. Like, go to a skate park and just watch for like an hour on a busy day when there's good skaters there, not just a bunch of kids with helmets on and parents. When like the teens are ripping, and just watch for the hidden culture and the etiquette. See when they're clapping, see how they're clapping, see the directions that they're skating, how no one runs into each other, how are they communicating, where are they looking. Like, these things you can learn without ever doing it. Don't like spend the time to like get used to what it's like to be at a skate park. I'm in my 30s and I gave you motivation to start skating again. Artie, that is great. I think that's like one of the most beautiful things about Skate IQ, is that we've gotten a lot of messages where people are motivated to ride their skateboards, to honestly, like, just be passionate about something. For some reason, when you turn 30 or 40, being passionate about something seems like there's a little bit of wall. There's a wall in the way, imaginary wall. It seems like a lot of people wanted to be riding skateboards, but it just needed a push and a proper education how to use it safely. And that's been beautiful, like nothing shy of beautiful, I swear to God. We need 40-minute heel flip tips. 40 minutes of heel flips. Look, we're gonna be doing streams all week. I'll put in the word with the team, and we will grind out a heel flip stream this week. Heel flips get neglected. It's like, I feel bad for the heel flippers. I think heel flips are absolutely great and should be worked on a ton. But I hear you, and we will. That might be rubles. Yeah, you're right. I feel like I fall a lot on my knees. Is there a way to fall less on your knees? I don't know if you mean with knee pads or not. If you don't have knee pads on, avoid falling on your knees for sure. All right. We are going into the final stage of this stream. Little 180s done. Q&A done. Now we re-lock in and we grind it out at the end and we finish this strong. Let's talk about Tre Flips. Tre Flips are not an easy trick to do, but there are some things that you can do right now that will make them easier. We always want tricks to be more approachable and for you to be able to do them in intuitive ways. I'm a very technical teacher. I know this. I love mechanics. I love thought processes. I love trying to figure out how the tricks actually work. But I also love making you better right away, not confusing you and making it harder. My job, I am here to make you better at skateboarding. I want you to go to sleep tonight and have dreams of kickflips, 180s, and Tre Flips, and wake up and be noticeably closer. And for the great skaters that enjoy watching this content, they're gonna know in 3 minutes whether I'm full of it or we have the right ideas. So we're gonna start on Tre Flips just with the basic idea that you're gonna have to jump high or with a lot of power. I think that's a better way to put it. So if you lack power, use something like a bank or a quarter pipe, something that launches you into the air, will give you time in the air and give you space for your board to flip. Okay, now that we know we have power, what is going on? How does the Tre Flip work? Let's start by getting our feet closer together. This will put our weight over our back truck a little bit more naturally compared to our wide stance, which will have our weight distributed evenly between our feet. So we get our front foot a bit lower, we take this squat, that'll easily push the board forward, that'll easily load your back foot. And so you can have your back foot all the way on the tail, you can have your toes a little bit off the rail. And you jump, and it's called the scoop, that you've heard so many times in every single Tre Flip tutorial that you've ever seen. The scoop. You push your back foot down and through the ground to get the board to scoop. Yes and no. You're gonna have to adjust the direction you kick your back foot, all right? If your tail isn't hitting the ground and it's just spinning and ending up in front of you, you're gonna have trouble. So you need to make sure your tail gets to the ground. If kicking it straight back isn't working for you, you can try to kick your back foot a little bit forward towards the nose as you're taking off. This will help get the Tre Flip a little bit more vertical. We'll pick up the nose and let it flip like so. If I look at the camera, let it flip like so. That is a great feeling when it's flipping a little more vertical, because in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to catch. If it's spinning too fast and too low, that could just be your back foot hanging off too much. But there's a big side of the internet that likes taking off for Tre Flips like that, and I think that's just fine as long as you can mitigate the amount that it's just spinning. A way to practice this tension, let's just do a narrow stance manual with an ollie out of it. It's very difficult, but it will show you how you balance over those back trucks like cash money, all right? Then we're gonna do a little combination move. So it's not the same thing as a varial flip, but it could be the same as a light varial flip where you keep your nose high, right? So if I just turn the board around and I let the nose stay high as it's flipping, that's gonna copy the shape for a Tre Flip a lot better than if I, genuinely do a varial flip, right? When you're doing a varial flip, sometimes you get over the top of it and you can kick down and across it to get it to turn a bit more. But for the Tre Flip, we just want to stay behind it and get it to roll a little more this way. Then with that shape, we can just add some power and let it flip. Okay, a very important piece is that we throw the board out in front of us, the direction we're skating, not letting the board fall behind us. That is nightmare Tre Flip territory. There is no worse feeling than it overspinning, under popping, under flipping, and ending up behind you. If we can start with the tight foot position, get our balance over that back truck, jump hard, and throw the board in front of us, it will naturally want to get that flipping motion. Okay, there is rarely tips. I've rarely seen tips on Tre Flips that really build it up from scratch. And that's partly because they're just a more advanced trick. At this point, you should have shove-its and kickflips and things like that. I get that it's probably high level for this stream, but I want to push you guys, teach you very simple stuff. Also throw in some stuff that you can try right now, even if Tre Flips your not your next trick. Flip them and send them forward. No harm, no foul. Get the right setup, practice your narrow manual ollies, and you'll be in good shape. Another thing you can practice is big spins. Backside big spins will be a stepping stone to Tre Flips because you will feel what it's like for your board to spin super fast and for you to watch it spin. The reason we don't do 360 shove-its is because they're hard to get them not to flip, and it's also difficult to control your body. Sometimes your body will want to go the other way. With a big spin, you get everything going the same direction at the same time. I landed in a manual. The same direction at the same time, that'll make your life a lot easier. All right. So, got a couple of things you can practice. You got some fun ways to get your first Tre Flips flipping. Maybe you're using a bank to get in the air. How are we going to land on the Tre Flip? And the fact of the matter is, the greatest drill that has ever come out of skate IQ, no, I mean, I'm just kidding, but I really do love this drill. It came from one of our school members, Ruthie. I think she's just got this drill trademarked. I'm just going to have to shout her out every single time. Jump off your back foot, kick yourself in the butt, and land on your front foot on your board. That is literally the landing for all of these tricks, okay? Tre Flips are one of those tricks where you're gonna have to be comfortable being in the air off your board for a long time. And you're gonna have to learn how to read and react to your board. We're gonna take a step back off of Tre Flips and just focus on kickflips for 1 second. There are two ways you can go about kickflips in a fundamental sense. You can just flip them fast and feel it, or you can flip it slow and watch the board flip intently with your eyes and place your feet where you want them. If you'd like a great way to practice watching your board, First thing you can do is jump high and flip it halfway. That control right there will give you the ability to watch your board. The slower you flip it, easier it is to see. Then you can go do a kickflip up a bank or down a stair set and flip it that slow and just practice watching it and practice putting your feet on it. The Tre Flip requires that skill, arguably, because it's spinning and flipping, and at first, for sure, it's gonna be different every time. So you're gonna have to be able to see that thing in the air and track where that nose is gonna be with your front foot. And boom. As long as you focus on balancing over your front foot on the way out, then we're in good shape. All right, I'm probably gonna take a few tries. Woo! Made it first go. Sick. It's a bit of a run and gun Tre Flip tutorial, but I wanted to take you guys quickly through the basics of them and just see where we're at as a group and see how relevant the practice that I'm recommending is. Gus, no problem. YouTube streams have the ability to rewind and watch. Also, this video will go up as a VOD immediately after the stream. And if you guys care about us, you will just rewind the video and let it play, because that's really good for the algorithm if our watch time on the VOD is high. I think three shoves are also too difficult to control. I have not enjoyed a 3 shove once in my life. Do you think you're using a lot less energy than a beginner? Because sometimes I feel like I'm trying a bit too hard and losing technique, running out of steam. Yes, I'm definitely using less energy than a beginner. There's no doubt about it. When I'm teaching, maybe not. I'm newer at tutorials, definitely newer at live streams. These are exhausting. I slept for like an hour in the middle of the day today after shooting, and then came back to do this. But when you have to think a lot, you're gonna burn extra calories. It's gonna be really hard when you're thinking about technique all the time. It's just different than feeling it out. So at this stage, as a beginner, you're definitely gonna be burning all those extra calories. Fakie 3 shoves are definitely pretty chill. Highly, highly recommend. I'm gonna write that one down. We're gonna do a full tutorial, hopefully on a stream or a reel or something, about Fakie 3 shoves. I think those are sick. Late flips are very hard. I'm not good enough at late flips to properly teach them, but I have done some that I'm excited for you to see. We can do alling up and down things, timing. Yes, not right now, but we can figure that out. I think that's a really important one. Daniel? Are kickflips necessary to Tre Flip better? Hey, Aaron, that is a slight, I don't know. I would say yes, because like, what business do you have grinding Tre Flips if you like can't even kickflip? Like it does seem like there might be an order there that you should probably follow. Hard flips, yep. The problem with the super high level stuff is it's just gonna be a little more niche, you know, like all these kickflips, 180s is like hits home, hits hard every single time. When we start getting into hard flips, Tre Flips, things, it starts getting out of people's wheelhouse, but we will touch on it. Maybe it will be like ollie up a curb, some other thing, and then a Fakie 3 shove, you know, that we'll do like one higher level thing at the end of the streams, because it does seem like there's a lot less interest in those things, to be honest. Front and back Smith would be awesome. We have some great Smith grind plans for the channel. We can't really reveal exactly what we're going to be doing yet, but definitely keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. Make sure you're pressing that membership button so you don't miss a stream from us. This is going to be hopefully, you know, a big part of our lives moving forward. What advanced trick do I avoid? Oh, that's a good one. Frontside flips. I avoid frontside flips. My Tre Flips are okay. Hard flips, frontside flips, that kind of stuff. And nollie heel flips. I'm at the point crooks, but lost on Smiths. Okay. Do you actually need to flick the front foot for a Tre Flip? So Gary, there are a lot of tutorials that say your front foot does nothing. I actually think most of the Tre Flip is done in the way that you load the board. I don't think your front foot needs to flip it, but I think there are ways where you can use your front foot to flip it, to nudge it. But no matter how you do it, a good Tre Flip will come from the way you load the board. Yeah, what's our close out? What's our closeout move? Yesterday we did a dunk. Today I want to do something else. Joe Star, flicking a kickflip is an ankle motion, or does it happen automatically? It is. I don't like the word automatically because I don't know. I've been doing kickflips for 22 years, so I just don't know. I have to adjust my flick though, so I would say it's not just like a slingshot. It's not just like you pull it back and let it go and it flips. It's a combination of tension, pop, and the flick, but I feel like people tend to lean too much on the flick and ignore the other things. That's why I like to lean into that a lot more. Always be on the balls of your feet. Always. Don't skate on your heels, for sure. Perps, you're a legend. Hyped, you're a member on the channel. I really appreciate that. Hit the euro to end it. A cartwheel. All right. You win, laced bacon. I really appreciated you guys. I really thought this was a very fun stream. And I had a great time. And we're coming up on that 2.5 hour, 3 hour mark, and we got through our entire list. I haven't done a cartwheel in I don't know how long, but when I do it, we'll have Tyler click the button. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right. I love you guys.